here. Let's go to time zone now. The other problem that we are facing, let me give you a brief about why do we need to know about the time zone. Now today is a world of, it's a connected world. Half of the team works in US and half of the team works in India, and few members are in Singapore. So we'll have, yeah, okay. Let's proceed further. Now we are talking about time zone, and I was talking about scenario. It's a connected world. Half of the team in US, some members in India, some members in Singapore, and now they have to meet. So I'm in India, and a few of my partners are in Singapore, and few of them are in America. And I tell them we meet for a Java online session at 6 p.m. And how is it going to work? If I say 6 p.m., the American guy will join maybe tomorrow morning 6 because tomorrow 6 p.m. Because the calendar is difference is more than 12 hours. We are 12 hours ahead of them maybe. Okay, somewhere around 12. And this Singaporean guy, he's 3.5 hours ahead of us. So when we say 6 over here, it's 3 o'clock at his place. Our place 3 o'clock is 6 o'clock at his place. So he'll join the meeting at 3 o'clock according to Indian Standard Time. Huge problem. So I'd like to have date and time represented as with time zone as well. So I should tell somebody that we're going to meet at 6 p.m. as per Indian Standard Time. But that's not good enough. We also need to convert that date into that corresponding. You must have seen a lot of offices where they have a lot of clocks, London time, New York time, there's a lot of clocks. All IT companies, when you go to visit, you'll have those one wall where only the clocks are put up, and then you'll have New York time, London time, Amsterdam time, wherever their offices are. So there should not be any kind of miscommunication that happens when those people communicate with each other. So we have a support for them. Let's see now. We have this class called as time zone. What is this time zone representing? Represent time zone offset, and also figures daylight saving. I'll not talk much about daylight saving because I don't see any time in near future this daylight saving time concept coming in India. We are energy surplus, it looks like. We do not have any problem with energy. The American, they have problem with energy. They have 4 time zones. So in their country, at different cities, they will have different time at different times, different day, period of the day. Here in India, in Mumbai also it's 6:30 p.m. and in Tripura also, yeah, the far eastmost part of India, it's also 6:30 p.m. And in between we have Bangladesh, which is half an hour ahead of us. So while you're moving from Kolkata to Tripura, कलकत्ता में 6 बजे रहेंगे तो बांग्लादेश में 6:30 रहेंगे and त्रिपुरा में जाओगे तो वापस 6 बज जाएंगे. Kind of weird kind of system we have. And plus the other problem is about daylight time saving. If it's 6 p.m. over here, if your office gets closed at 5 p.m. also, in Tripura it's by that time it's dark. So we should actually, yeah, here we open at suppose we say at 10 o'clock, and in Tripura by 10 o'clock it's the sun is above the head. So we'd like to adjust those date and time. And there is a talk which has been going on for India for a very long time that we should have more than one time zones in India, unfortunately. But this time zone has a support. Jahan kahi hai uska support, that time zone support can also, the daylight time saving support can also be available. But forget about daylight time saving. Let's focus only on the time zone. So Indian Standard Time, the Eastern Standard Time, America mein jo hai, ya fir the Greenwich Mean Time, the standard one. So we like to give our time according to some time zone. We like to handle it. So time zone dot get default अपना वाला मेरे machine के system के हिसाब से जो भी time zone रहेगा. So let's start tracing this particular code and see what's the time zone as far as our system goes. तो अपने यहाँ time zone कौन सा है? Let's have a look over here. Let's debug this code. I say project debug and let's debug this code for and find out what's the time zone that we have. Oh no, it directly got executed. Let's jump over here. Let's debug. Add a break and then let's start. Yeah. I say default. Let's print the default. Which one is it? So it says time zone की info दे रहा है. Util calendar information क्या बता रहा है? आपका है एशिया कैलकुलेटर वाला. ओके. ऑफसेट कितना है? ये कुछ सेकंड्स वगैरह मेरा. डेलाइट टाइम सेविंग कुछ नहीं हमारे यहाँ. फॉल्स ट्रांजिशन and last will none, what it is, but it is the Asia calculator time zone. Okay, that's Indian Standard Time, the latitude which passes through Allahabad maybe. Okay, we got the time zone. Time zone का ID क्या है? ये Indian Standard Time तो उसका नाम है. Here I printed the default time zone. This is unnecessary. It's difficult for me to understand what it actually means. So what we did is we said TZ, that time zone object dot display name. तो display name ने क्या बताया? Indian Standard Time. Okay. तो आई सेड इसका शॉर्ट फॉर्म में क्या है, आईडी क्या है? तो शॉर्ट फॉर्म में उसका आईडी क्या है? तो ये कह रहा आईडी है एशिया कैलकाटा. ओके, तो अक्रॉस द ग्लोब इट विल बी आइडेंटिफाइड एज एशिया/कैलकाटा. Okay, it's normally based on the major cities that are there. Calcutta once upon a time was the uh, capital of British India. So it was more well known than any other city in India or Asia for a moment. There was a time when it had the most the British Raj का center ही था. It was next to it, competing with London maybe in terms of the importance. Yeah, I say time zone dot get time zone America Chicago. So here, what is our time zone? We are talking about Asia Calcutta. So now we are talking about America Chicago. So we would like to know the time zone for America Chicago. This was for Asia R1 default one. तो अमेरिका का क्या है ये उनका अमेरिका शिकागो उनका ऑफसेट कुछ है डे लाइट टाइम सेविंग है उनके यहाँ हमारे यहाँ नहीं है डे यूज डे लाइट करते कि हम लोग नहीं करते उनके यहाँ वो करते हैं दे आर कंसर्न अबाउट दोस थिंग्स and then there is a lot of information. Okay, a start mode kya hai, week of the month, start time, end time. There is so much of information which is there. There is so much of information which is there. I have wrapped this text, but the font becomes too very small for us to use. But anyway, there is so much of information. That's not very interesting, of our interest. Now look at this, something which is more critical. I have date or time which has been given in today's time zone, Indian time zone or some other time zone. We have Japanese or the America Chicago time zone. America, there are I think 3 or 4 time zones. Huh? One country, 4 different time zones. Russia, there are many more. Okay. So I say time zone object. The way I got a time zone object for America Chicago, likewise I get time zone object for Paris and one for India. India to we already had, but I just take one more time zone object for India, time zone object for Paris. Why am I doing this? Because I want to show you how we can represent a date in Indian Standard Time and understand what is the date as per America or some other time zone में वो time और date क्या रहेगा that is what we need to understand. So if I say 6 o'clock in Pune, so I would like to know what's currently what's the time in Paris. So that's something which is important. So we need to be in position to convert those times. So we have these 2 time zones. I construct an object of type Gregorian calendar. This has been there with us for a very long time. Constructs default Gregorian calendar using current time in default time zone kind of thing. तो default time zone माने अपना current time zone के हिसाब से एक object बना देगा. Calendar has been there with us for a very long time. So we construct an object and this calendar date they have been deprecated, but we now construct an object uh, using the ISO calendar से ही object बनाए गए default टाइम जोन के हिसाब से इंडियन टाइम जोन से हिसाब से ऑब्जेक्ट बनेगा विथ इट विल हैव द डिफॉल्ट टाइम जोन आल्सो इनसाइड इट एंड व्हाट डू आई से कैलेंडर डॉट सेट टाइम जोन TZEA. TZEA was for Paris time zone. तो दिस गेव यू मेरे मशीन के डिफॉल्ट टाइम जोन के हिसाब से उसने दिया है. इट हैज गिवन मी नंबर ऑफ मिली सेकेंड्स पास फ्रॉम द इपॉच. ओके एंड दिस इज अकॉर्डिंग एशिया कैलकुलेटर. कैन सी दैट एशिया कैलकुलेटर ये अपना टाइम जोन के हिसाब से ऑब्जेक्ट बन चुका है ग्रेगोरियन कैलेंडर से. But what I'm doing is I'm now passing different time zone to it. I'm saying calendar system dot set time zone. कौन सा time zone change कर रहा हूँ. मेरा ये object जो है calendar का that is as per the Asia calculator इसके हिसाब से मैंने उसे change किया for Paris time zone. And now what do? I say calendar dot get timing millisecond. You remember this get timing millisecond method returns is a long value which represents the number of milliseconds passed from 1st January 1970 0000 वहाँ से. So I get that milliseconds. Once I get this particular milliseconds, तो फ्रेंच के हिसाब से इतने मिलीसेकेंड्स हो चुके हैं फ्रॉम 1 जनवरी 1970. इंडिया के हिसाब से मिलीसेकेंड ज़्यादा हो चुके हैं बिकॉज वी आर अराउंड 3.5 ahead of Paris or a bit more 4 hours maybe possibly ahead of Paris. Anyway, so R in Paris. तो ये जो मिली सेकेंड में से आप कुछ भी एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं आर मिनट सेकेंड सब कुछ एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो ऐसे कैलेंडर डॉट आर ऑफ द डे एंड कैलेंडर कौन सा है टाइम जोन कौन सा सेट किया हमने कैलेंडर के लिए we have set time zone as Paris time zone. Now hour of the day क्या है Paris में. Let's have a look at it. It's 15 hours. That means 3 o'clock right now. I said 3.5 hours, 4 hours इतने में. तो मिनट्स कितने पास हुए. तो currently Paris में it's 3:45 in Paris. It's almost 7:15 in India. So it's 4:45 p.m. 4 p.m. Almost 5 p.m. in Paris. Now what do I do? Can system time zone I change it to Indian time zone. Again I say get time in millisecond. Important thing is to know this time millisecond. Now look at this ये value or ये value. Okay, now it's telling us number of milliseconds passed from 1st January 1970 से लेके अब तक कितने milliseconds pass हुए. But then when I say hour of the day, when I look, it says 19. When I say minute of the day, it says that means 7 hours 14 minutes. Whereas उसी के लिए look at this number when you look at 8652627183 अरे ये तो वही थे number of milliseconds दे रहा है तो this number of milliseconds for Greenwich Mean Time UTC zeroth one and that zeroth one that means the time zone which you have UTC I think is 0 yeah Greenwich Mean Time is 0 so one which passes somewhere around England यहाँ से कहीं से pass होता है तो somewhere around that तो वो मिली सेकेंड है 1 जनवरी 1970 से लेके एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू फ्रेंच इट इज फ्रांस it is 3 hours 44 minutes and as per India the same millisecond represents so this milliseconds as far as Greenwich time zone Greenwich mean time zeroth यानी ये टाइम जोन छोड़ दो zeroth टाइम जोन जो रहेगा जहाँ आगे पीछे नहीं and as per India it's now 7 hours 15 minutes and so on so that's how you could convert any time and you could just know about time currently we just talked about time and same we'd like to go ahead with dates as well so this was time zone